up, you guys? Your girl Kiara Chantel. Welcome back to my channel. And if you haven't yet, subscribe. Before we even get started in this video, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. I know I've been away for a while, but I'm back and better than ever, believe me. Right now, I am at work. I'm on my break, and I wanted to do a video, and I was like going back and forth about what I wanted to do a video about. So today's video will be about basically last year, my whole 2019 year of going through postpartum depression after having my son. So for those, I'm just gonna jump right into this video. No need for me to sugarcoat shit, nothing. Sorry for cussing. But so if you don't know, my son was born on December 27th, 2018. His name is Cameron. So he is 1 year old now. Well, yeah. So he is the love of my life. I loved him when he, love at first sight. When he first came out, he automatically just laid and looked at me. He didn't want nobody else to touch him. He basically loved me as much as I love him. He latched on perfectly. We didn't have to, do nothing extra in the hospital. Everything was going pretty good. But to basically touch on the postpartum depression part of last year, everything was fine until I think when somebody I was friends with on Facebook, her daughter passed away, and it kind of like affected me. So I've always had anxiety and depression growing up. I've never, not to say like, not to just tell my business, but I'm telling my business. I've always had anxiety and depression and different things like that. So when it happened, it scared me, because at that time when she was posting on Facebook, I was up with my son. I think I was changing him, feeding him, doing stuff as taking care of my newborn baby. So what somebody else basically went through, it kind of affected me on my end. And it made me scared, like basically to leave him. So even till now, when it comes to him, I'm very leery about who takes him, where he goes, how long he's gone for. I'm always calling, checking up on him. And if I ever leave the house, I take him with me, and it's just like, it's something I can't control. Like, it's something like I feel better if he's with me. I know where he's at. And I do have 2 kids, and I know my son probably thinks like, oh, why my mom not taking me? She always taking Cameron. It's not that I don't love my other son. He's 6. He's a big boy, and I know that he can tell me what's wrong, whereas though Cameron cannot. So when it was time for me to go back to work, right off the bat, I got a full-time job. So my interview, I'm like, in my head, I'm thinking this is supposed to be a part-time job, because the person who hired me, she was my boss previously at my last job. So I'm like, okay, I'm thinking I'm just doing part-time, just ease my way back into work. It's not that I didn't want to work. I just felt as though I didn't want to leave my son. And so as I go to the interview, everything, I come to find out that this is a full-time position, which basically, ooh, my camera's leaning, which basically like scared me more so to leave him. So I'm like, I don't know, I'm gonna give it a try. Everybody just like, you gotta give it a try. You can't just say you're not gonna do it. You don't know, you don't know how it's gonna feel. So after going to the interview, going through the orientation, it was time to basically start. So I started fresh on Monday. I came in, I'm like, okay, this is easy. But I was constantly texting his dad. His dad had him, and I know, like, his dad's not going to do anything to him. But it was something inside of me that was just, like, really worrisome. So, I would just constantly text and text and text. And it was like getting the best of me. I lasted 2 days, I want to say. The second day, I decided, all right, it's time for me to go and maybe get some medicine or go to the doctors and see what's wrong. So when I called the doctor, they automatically was like, if you feel like you're going through that, you need to come in right now, basically. So the next morning I went in and they're like, oh, well, you're saying you're going through postpartum depression. It's past your 6 weeks. So I don't think you would still be going through that. So to run it back a little bit, when I went to my 6-week checkup, they told me that I wasn't having postpartum depression, which was really weird to me because I felt as though I was. And with my first son, I didn't feel like I was, but my doctor told me that I was going through postpartum depression. So it was just weird that I didn't. So now fast forward to when I go for this emergency appointment. They're like, okay, well, we can prescribe you this type of medicine, but you have to go to see a psychiatrist, therapist, whatever. So I go to this place and I go see these people. At this time, this is still supposed to be my first week at this job. So now I'm on Wednesday, I went to my emergency appointment. Thursday, I went to meet with the psychiatrist, or basically to be evaluated. When I went, it automatically just turned me off because the place that I went to, they dealt with people with like on drugs, and not only just psychiatric problems, but drugs and other problems, and it was like really overwhelming. So when I went, this guy was like, oh, I just want to take a bunch of drugs and kill myself. This is before I even stepped into the door. It turned me off, and I went in and I talked to the lady and everything. So then they started talking about, oh, you gotta do group sessions. First of all, I'm not doing no group sessions. I've done therapy before, but a group session is not where it's at, especially with these type of people. I'm not saying there's nothing wrong with those, it's something wrong with those people, but it just wasn't my thing at the time. Like I didn't feel like I would benefit from it. So they was like, well, to keep getting this medicine, we have to see you again. So I end up not going back. And I end up the next day basically quitting the job that I had just got hired at because I wasn't ready to work. So while doing all that, it was like, could you imagine getting hired for a full-time job, like straight off the bat, first interview out of maternity leave, and you get hired for a full-time position and you feel as though you can't take it? Like, I don't know, like looking back at it, it sounds crazy, but this is like really what was happening. I really, instead of taking that full-time position, I started at a different job, PRN, basically just working whenever I felt like working, or whenever I felt up to working, I would work. And I did that for a while, until October. October was when I got another job, which I was still, not October, September, August. At this time, I was still kind of nervous about leaving my son, which at this time I started working at a daycare, which basically it worked out because I was working at a daycare. My son could go to this daycare and I didn't have to worry about him or what he was going to be doing or anything. And during this time, like before, to go back a little bit, so before September, I basically was working PRN at this job, and I never left my son because it was just like I didn't go out much. I didn't really do a lot last year, which is very unusual for me because I enjoy going out and having fun. But during this time, I just was with most of the things that I did was with my son. Nobody, I had both of my kids during the summer. They went to, my son went to summer camp during the summer and everything. So back So fast forward back to when I started this job in September, my son was able to go. So that job, it worked out. But I realized that I don't like kids other than my own. So it was time for me to go. So I left that job in October, and for October I didn't have a job because I was actually banking on another job to fall through, which ended up not really falling through. So the job that I left, I want to say the job that hired me full-time, it ended up coming through again. Do you know how lucky I am to have had a job that I left after the first week, be able to go back to this job and to start and, you know, just basically have a job, so that I knew that the December was coming up, and I knew that I had birthdays, not only one birthday, I have 2 birthdays, and I have Christmas. So I have 3 major things going on in December, whereas though I need money. Like, I need the extra money. Like, yeah, Derek, he took care of mostly everything, and I just made sure that, like, my car note was paid and everything. Like, he took care of everything else, so I didn't really have to worry about much. And my son is breastfed, so I didn't have to worry about buying no milk or nothing. Like, only other thing I had to worry about was like Pampers and wipes, and that was nothing. So I was able to start back working in November. I still was kind of nervous about leaving my son, and the only reason why it ended up being okay was because at the time he went to the same daycare that my oldest son went to from the time that he was 1 up until he went to kindergarten. I love this daycare. They actually end up closing the daycare portion of it. Is a church. They end up closing the daycare portion of it, which actually took me by surprise, and it kind of hurt me because I was so comfortable with having my son there. His teacher was his cousin, and I love her to death. Like, I love her. She knows who she is if she ever watches this video. But I just want to say that my last year, I really wasn't myself, and it kind of, like, looking back at it, it hurt me in the long run. Like, I guess I didn't feel like myself. I was very unhappy, and like, not unhappy with to say anybody, but like more unhappy with myself because I wasn't being myself. Like I said, I like to not go out all the time, but I do like to hang out with my sister or my friends, and I really didn't do much of that. Like, if I wasn't with my kids or in my boyfriend, I was in the house. And I feel like I lost a year of my life. I lost a year of money also. And the reason I wanted to talk about this was basically because I had said to my mom that I wanted, like, you know, to start another job basically for some extra money. She was like, "Oh, I'm glad you want to work now." And I'm like, "Yeah, me too." Because I don't know what happened last year, and I don't know how other people, like, I've watched videos. So before doing this video, I watched a couple videos of people talking about how they went through postpartum depression, and everybody had a different outlook on it. I want to say that I don't think that I've ever had thoughts of maybe like I've heard of people, you know, saying that they wanted to harm their child, or they didn't want to be near their child. Mine was different, whereas though my anxiety was, all right, I need to check on him every 5 minutes if he falls asleep, because I don't know if he's going to wake up from this nap, or I don't want him to lay too close to me because I wanted him to be in a crib, but he was breastfed. He wanted to co-sleep, and I couldn't deny it. So I lost sleep that way. It honestly just was hard, but I don't think I've ever had a thought of trying to harm my child. Neither of them. I've had thoughts of, you know, trying to get better, trying to get back to the place where I was, like, to feel more like myself, Last year was honestly a rough year for me. I also lost my grandma, and it's just like, that's something you can't get back. And that's also a part of where I was, like, where last year kind of messed with me, because it was just like, with my first son, I always had somebody to watch my son, which was my grandma. My grandma always watched my son for me when I went to work, and to not have her there, because my mom works full-time, my dad works, everybody works, and it's just like, she was that person, that go-to person who will watch, like, you know, not just watch my son, but she was that glue that I needed and I didn't have when I had my son. So I think that also played a part in why it was so hard for me to deal and cope with last year. So I don't think, I thought I was going to cry when I made this video. I don't know really how I thought I was going to feel, but I just wanted to touch bases and catch up with you guys and tell you about last year and how I'm doing so much better. I am still at my job. I'm working, trying to get another job, and life's good, you know, life's good. But I do want to know if anyone has ever went through postpartum depression, any moms out there who have ever been through postpartum depression, anyone who just want to talk about depression, because like I stated in the beginning, I not only had postpartum depression, I've had depression and I've dealt with it, or anxiety, and I've dealt with it for a while, and I know it's a touchy subject. But if anybody ever wants to talk, my DMs is always open. You can follow me on Instagram. My Instagram name is Kiera Chantel _. My Facebook is my name. You can also comment down below if you want to talk to me. I'll, you know, I'm open to talking. I would love to hear what other moms went through. Like I said, I watched other videos on YouTube where they talked about going through what they went through and the different things that they went through. And, you know, I just wanted to tell my story to see if anyone else felt this way, and how did they, like, and when they pushed through it, how did they push through it, or what kept them going? Because trust me, it's always times where you want to give up, but you know you can't, because you got a child, or you got two, or in my case I have 2 kids, and you know I had to push through it. I had to, you know, put a smile on my face some days where I felt like I just wanted to cry. And trust me, it was days where I just sat in the car, like, say, you know, I sat in the car, I would put my gospel music on, I would pray, and I would ask God why I felt the way I felt. But I pushed through, because prayer is number one, and you know, you gotta do what you gotta do. My mom just kept saying, you know, you gotta do what you gotta do. You gotta do what you gotta do to take care of your kids. And I did what I had to do. And Derek, I thank him. Like, I don't know how much to thank him, but I thank him for everything that he has done in this past year, because it's just like, most people would have left. Like, I didn't have a job, and I wasn't, like, wasn't planning on working, but I just couldn't pull myself to work. So that support system that I had was amazing. Like, it was amazing. Like, you know, it kept me going. And like I said, if anybody went through anything, any type of postpartum depression, or, you know, anything, and want to talk, don't hesitate to DM me, because I will respond. I am a very nice person, and I like to make new friends. And also, I'm looking for friends with sons. All my friends, for some reason, got girls, and I'm the only one with 2 boys. This is weird. I need some new friends. So if you want to slide in my DM for some friends, and we can do play dates. I like play dates with my kids. I like to do fun things with kids. So, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. turn that post notification bell on down below. And like always, it's your girl, Kiara Chantel. Peace.